And I'm going to use migraines as the example because I think migraines is the most common HLR that is overturned. I have no facts for that. It's just people who I've talked to. Migraine seems to be the number one. Veterans will submit evidence. I'm talking hard medical evidence from service, from the VA. They'll be service connected and commonly awarded 0% for migraines, right? Or 50% for mental health when it should have been 30, or it should have been 70 in the mental health case. When veterans submit evidence, that's when a higher level review comes into play. Now, HLRs, higher level review, you can only do that within 1 year of receiving that decision. And generally speaking, I see HLRs being successful for claims that are service connected, but were rated lower. Can an HLR work for service connection? It absolutely can. It's just very uncommon because you'll see a duty to assist error come out versus a full-on overturn of service connection. And the last thing I'll say about duty to assist errors, there's been a huge increase in duty to assist errors recently, and I think there's many factors involved with a duty to assist error is a good way to say the VA messed up. Okay, the VA process messed up. That's essentially what DTA error means. I think the two most common factors are, one, there's a lot of new VSRs that are being pushed through training pipelines to rate claims. Two, VSRs are rated professionally, right? But bonuses, time off awards, step increases, whatever that looks like on the federal employee side, it's a production quota. So for instance, let's say Jason and I both have 10 claims, okay? I get through my 10 because I'm trying to meet my production quota and get that step increase. 4 of them are correct. 6 of them are going to come back with duty to assist errors in about a year from now. Jason has 10 claims, and he does his due diligence on 4 of them. And they are rock solid. They are complete. They are correct. Who gets graded higher, right? Me, who did 10, although it was a half-assed, if you will, or Jason, who did 4, right? That's the production quota. And so the VA's tailoring to production quotas, which leads my third and final factor of duty to assist errors. So training requirements, production quota, excuse me. And the third one is the PACT Act, right? Because we've had, the VA has had millions and millions and many claims. I think 1.2 or 1.3 have been approved as of since January 23. That's not including the ones who haven't been approved and the ones who've been denied. Okay, that's a lot of claims, and so now you have these training requirements, the production quota, and an influx of claims. And that's why we see duty to assist errors. And I think it bears credence to why veterans need to submit evidence with their claim. Do you have any thoughts on that, or do you want to roll into supplemental?
Let's roll.
Yeah. When it comes to evidence and supplemental appeals, Jason, how would you approach a veteran submitting new evidence for a supplemental appeal?
Right. Well, read your decision letter first, because that's going to give you some insight on what you are putting your supplemental in for, right? Was I denied service connection, or was I denied a rating that I think I should have had, right? So depending on what you need to prove, or it could be both, right? I mean, you might not even have a rating because they just denied your service connection, right? So depending on what you need, you're going to need to double down really on the evidence that you've already submitted. Typically, this is going to be, in my opinion, Clay, somebody who, I just want to get my claim in as fast as I can.
Yeah. I
had access. I had the ability to get all of this evidence. I just chose not to. I supplied what I think I needed, and now here we are. And now I'm mad that the VA didn't give me what I wanted. So now you got to take a knee. You have a year. So you have a year from that decision, that unfavorable decision, to get your act together. Now, if you need to double down on the service connection piece? Well, there's two ways, right? You can dig through your medical records if you didn't do it already, right? Because obviously you didn't supply enough. So if you did not have access to your service treatment records, you're going to want to order them. How do you remember this form? Think of a circle as 360. 180 is half. So you're looking backwards, right? Straight behind you. 180. SF 180, standard form 180. That's the form you can order your records. So you'll never forget it. So order your records, get those records, go through them. See if you mentioned anything regarding the condition in which you filed for. It could be the condition itself, migraines. It could have been you checked a box that said headaches, right? You could have had an entry somewhere in some sort of a medical exam. You could have written something down somewhere and it got signed. Whatever you see that talks about headaches, head pain, blurry vision, seeing stars, blurry spots, you could have some ocular migraines going on. Anything that you see in your file about any of that stuff, pull it out. I don't care if it's one little word. The fact that that one little word existed in your time in service is worth its weight in gold. Well, it's worth more than that because it doesn't weigh very much, Clay. All right. So get anything you can find there. Then you're going to want to take that to your doctor. You're going to want to have that conversation with the doctor. And this is what you should have done up front. That's why it's a weird conversation to have, because you didn't do it up front. That's why you're here today. So work with your doctor to get them to write you a Nexus letter, right? Tying your condition to your time in service. In their opinion, it is more than likely that your condition manifested during your time in service as evidenced by your complaints of migraines, headaches, whatever you showed them from your medical record as rationale, right? Hopefully they'll do that for you. What I like to say, especially with a private doctor, non-VA doctor, is, hey doc, I'm glad to see you today, right? Here for the migraines, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm filing a claim with the VA so I can get reimbursed for my medical expenses. I need to submit a little letter that just explains that my migraines were, had manifested during my time in service. I brought in some papers that show, that it did. Could you put it on a little letterhead for me? In fact, here's a sample of something that would work. Thank you. I appreciate you. And I'll be back to spend more money with you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that works, right? So you want to double down on all the aspects of that. Get your buddy statements, family, friends, whatever. Then when you're looking at your service connection piece, you're wrapping all that together and getting that piece taken care of. You're looking at your rating aspect. Clay, we both know the value is in the knowledge of knowing what the VA is going to rate you against, right? You can close your eyes and throw darts at a dartboard, or you can go look at the dartboard, right? They have it for you. It's the CFR and it's the schedule of ratings within the CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, has all of the codes in there. It's a little bit cumbersome. I get it. If you can't find it that way, Google search your condition, VA rating schedule. If you Google search those words, up will pop 5, 6, 10 different attorney sites that have pulled that information onto their website. And they'll explain to you, if you meet this criteria, you're at 50%. If you meet this criteria, you're at 30%. If you meet this criteria, you're at 10%. Read it. If it's medical jargon and you're not sure exactly what it is saying, then Google search that word and it'll give you the human word for that medical word, right? So like, for example, dysphagia means difficulty swallowing. Why don't you just say difficulty swallowing so everybody understands? Because they like to feel like they're better. It's fine. Just do what you got to do to figure it out. Once you get all that stuff, go to your doctor, have the conversation with them about embedding that information into your treatment records. And oh, by the way, if you didn't have them write your Nexus letter yet, have them include that on your Nexus letter. And oh, by the way, the veteran is experiencing these signs, symptoms, and time frames or whatever they say, right? And they spell it all out, and it can be verbatim. Nobody says you can't look at that schedule of ratings, and you can't tell your doctor that you have that, and you can't have your doctor put that on a piece of paper acknowledging that you have that. That's stupid. So don't feel weird having them put it exactly to make it easy for a VSR who's texting their friend wanting to, granted, look, if you're a VSR watching, not all VSRs are crazy, right? We all know there's the crazy people, and then there's the people that actually do their job. There's more of you, in my opinion, that do a great job than those that do the bad one. The bad ones, however, get highlighted, and that's what we talk about. So sorry about that, because there's a lot of good ones. You, Clay.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say, and then I'll kick it to you for your infamous outro.
Right.
When it comes to appeal specifically, the most difficult aspect that I see is that when a veteran has been diagnosed, but the CMP examiner's rationale was not service connected, right? And they'll say whatever. However, they won't say what the diagnosis is caused by, right? And so when you're arguing with a medical professional, one's difficult, right? We can't do that alone. You're going to have a medical professional in your corner. And in my opinion, that's when a lawyer also really comes into play when you're arguing rationale. A diagnosis implies there's some kind of cause, right? You have an undiagnosed illness, which is still a diagnosis. It's just undiagnosed because there's no cause. And I can't stand how CMP examiners will give a diagnosis and say, nope, not related to service. Okay, well, what is it related to then?
Right.
Tell me what it is related to, and let's go through that. You as a veteran, do not say that at your CMP exam. That's not going to go well for you every time, okay? But in that instance, that's when appeals really get difficult, is when you're arguing with a medical professional who gave a, bottom dollar rationale and just said not service connected without evidence, without anything saying what it is connected to. And so food for thought. Some appeals are easy. Some appeals very, very difficult. You have to figure out which one you're in. That's all I got, Jason.
Outstanding. I agree. And so, hey, with that, if you hung on to the end, thank you so much for watching. It has been these are sometimes long shows.